while because mine's not going to be ready.
No, in fact, the only reason I ended up back there is, I was working out of town out there in Midland a little over a year, and they have motels down there at that time. If they found out using structural oil field, they can charge you $700-800.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So I got that camper from my stepbrother. He was in a bind. I got it for $9,000. But after about a little over 2.5 months, that trailer done paid for itself.
Oh yeah.
Because it's easier, or it was cheaper for me to put it on an RV lot, spend $500 a month, all bills paid.
But when we go do our little trips, we stay in state parks, and they're even cheaper. They're pretty good deal. And they're safe, and they're nice, and they're clean. And I've gone to some of those RV parks back in the day, and they're just crap.
Right. Well, one thing we used to do with ours, when I was with the land thing and went back offshore during the summertime, we'd go right there to Martin Isles State Park.
Yeah, we've been up
right
there.
Up there near Dan Beach.
We've been up there a couple times. That's a nice little.
We liked it. I think we liked it. I'd take it up there for the wife and the girls. No, we'd stay. I think the max you can stay on one lot was like 10 days.
We don't usually stay. The longest we're gonna stay on one of them is say 2 days on one and 2 days on another. We usually stay 1 or 2 days trying to travel, but I've got one kind of scoped out, but I gotta get it checked out.
Yeah, Trevor, you did.
No, when you go state parks. I'd like to find a really nice airstream, to be honest with you. I know I'm going to pay for quality, way this things last.
Well, maybe when I was thinking one of those, there's first off they're ugly. Second, there are toe slides on everything. And the second thing is that I go and get your left leg for the nail over
Well, that's kind of like the same thing. Yeah, that's kind of like what Winnebago. You're paying for the same. Truth is, my opinion, I think it's the Jayco's or something like that.
We have a gray wolf.
Yeah.
You set that down, I got
Yeah.
Back there.
Smoking over. Oh.
I see. He's just. Okay. Yeah. But I don't know how there's no outlet. So it's other one. Oh, I was stuck on it. So,
Question. So, this is the question. Okay, that's the question I would do. Yes, sir. The question is I don't know how do you think like well, it's basically okay, so it's kind of like what you feel to you said you don't know like Christian. So that so I don't know. I like how I would do both to see how to answer the question both ways. See how to run. I know you see how to run and look at me and but what so but see how you have answered how I want it. How you want it. It's not like feeling good about oneself out of the rest of the life. So far, please put it on it. I you gotta write it up. Yeah. When we here,
Almost bad, like.
Over, man. Everybody know. Everybody know.
Yes, make a sign.
Yeah.
Make a sign. Sure. Sure. That's the power.
Yeah, yeah. I know you didn't take the phone yesterday. Something about. If that's the case, I can come on. Sure, you'll come. 5 minutes.
Sorry, out.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
I want to ask you a question. Which one of these would you get?
35. Now, please.
That's what I was thinking. Okay.
See, for 2.8.
That makes a really great 2+8. Man, this pie is down right here. Say you gonna raise it? Ain't nobody else gonna raise it. I'm just saying.
I know what I'm saying.
Well, how's everybody doing this morning?
We're live, we're here.
Everybody looks happy to be here. We'll get started in about 30 seconds. We may have some impromptu breaks, stuff like that. I am not feeling well this morning. So, if potty calls or something like that, we may have an impromptu break. That'll be all right. So I'm not, I'm not going to be out there next to you guys. So everybody's going to be all right. I don't think I'm contagious or anything like that. Really don't feel good this morning. So we do need to get our sign-in sheets. Make sure your name is on your sign-in sheet, the right one, and that is legible. Mr. Curley, you hadn't been putting your name on there. You need to sign your sign-in sheet. I have to put your name on there every day. Yeah, I know your name, so I'll put it down there for you, but you need to be putting your name on that sign-in sheet when it comes around. You're on the HHSC sign-in sheet. Also, everybody needs to have their book. If you've got your book with you this morning, you're doing really well. And our goal for today is going to be this week we're talking about emotions and all of that kind of stuff, and we're going to be disputing some irrational beliefs and some irrational emotions that we deal with a lot of the time. Sometimes some of the things that we think, some of the things that we believe, just plain irrational. They don't make sense. So that's what we're gonna. That's our goal for today, to understand and dispute some irrational beliefs. And this says disputing wrong beliefs. So is an irrational belief necessarily a wrong belief?
No.
Maybe it's not. But what does irrational mean? Irrational just means it stands against rational. Stands against rational reasoning. Something that I know. I had a guy tell me one time that he could hit his hand with a hammer and it wouldn't hurt. They didn't have any feelings in his hand. And since I'm recovering from lying, that's not true. I was telling the other kid that. That's in school. I was about 12 years old. I don't have any feelings in that. He said, well, let me hit it with this hammer. I said, no, no, because I'd have had that would have been an irrational thing for me to do. Telling a lie about it was pretty irrational, but letting somebody hit me with a hammer, that'd really be irrational. The only place I possibly could have got hit with a hammer or hit with a hammer that didn't hurt me would have been upside the head, because that's, a little bit harder. So this is, what is that? What does this indicate up here? What is this showing? Yeah, it shows that one of these guys has pretty much rationalized what he's thinking in his life, right? The blue guy over there pretty much got it going on. He's already got it rationalized. He's not upset. He's doing well. This guy here, though, some of his thinking is just about as irrational as it can get. He's freaking out. And sometimes, look, the thoughts that we have, the ideas that we have, all of that kind of stuff, we allow them to do those kinds of things. We allow them to get us to a place where completely freaking out and all of that kind of stuff because of our own thinking. So we want to take a look at some of the irrational thoughts today and just, make a determination whether those thoughts are rational, not rational. Some of them are going to be absolutely easy. You look at that and say, well, sure, that's irrational. And some of them maybe not so much, but we'll take a look and we'll see those things. I just wanted to share with you. I know I share with you every meeting, and maybe it's getting like a broken record now, but I want to share it with you again. Going on vacation Monday, leaving, going on vacation. Took my trailer in to get the slide greased and get all that stuff ready to go. They found out that it got roof rot. Told y'all about that, right? Just trying to keep you updated on that. I know you're curious. I know you're kind of worried about it and all that. I do want you to know that the money, that's been coming in to help me repair my roof on my trailer is standing at 25 cents right now. That's that's what I've gotten given in, is 25 cents. So that's helpful. But they let us know yesterday, the insurance company, the guy who was going to tell us how much it cost was going to be $10,000. $10,000. So then they said, well, that's okay because the insurance covered it. So the insurance guy said, well, did a tree fall on it? No. Was there any storms that came through that had a lot of hail in it? No. Well, we probably won't cover that. So what I'm going to do is drag it to the house. Now let me tell you real quick. Let me tell you what the people up there at the RV place said. The lady said, "Why don't you trade it in?" That's what they did on me. They traded it in. It was leaking. They sold it to me when it was leaking. Okay. All right. So anyway, I'm still going on vacation. I'm still going on vacation. So today, we are still in our emotional health thing. We're going to look at that. One of the things I want us to know about emotional health is that physical health impacts emotional health. So if you're having some emotional things that are going on in your body right now, look, I'm going to tell you this, that exercise will not fix them all. Exercise is not going to fix everything that's going on with us emotionally. But I will tell you this, it's going to help. There's no issue that we have, deep clinical depression, bipolarism, whatever it is. There's nothing that's going on with us that exercise, getting ourselves into good shape, is not going to help. It's always, always, always going to help. Sometimes if you just feel bad, sometimes if you just have a little bit of off feeling emotionally, you feel a little bit put back, you feel a little bit sad, you feel a little bit depressed, you feel a little bit anxious, exercise is going to get rid of all of it. You're going to get to feeling better. Everything's going to be better. Your brain's going to start giving you a little something to make you feel better, and everything's going to go away. If you have clinical depression and you've had it for 45 years and you sleep sometime for 6 or 7 weeks at a time and you just can't get out of that, exercise is not going to take all of that away. But if you can get 10% off your butt, it's better. Now, again, going back to what's really interesting today is I'm going on vacation. And if you go, look, they charge, I got to rent a trailer now because my trailer is kaput, so I got to rent a trailer. So those trailers go from $100 a night up to $250 a night. So we're looking for $100 a night one. And if you keep it for over a certain period of time, like with 7 or 8 days, they give you a 10% discount. So we're going to keep it for like 14 days, so that's going to give us a 10% discount. Does that help?
A little bit.
Absolutely, a little bit. Is it worth it? Yeah, they go from $100 a night to $90 a night. Just boom. So 10% is nothing to sneeze at. If somebody says, hey, you exercise, you go do that, and it's going to help your depression, help your anxiety by 10%, just say praise the living God and go do something. What exercise should you do? Weights, walking. Look, do anything. If you enjoy it, that more the better. If you don't enjoy it, do it anyway. Do something. Do something. Get up and go do something. So, the first one we talked about was when we first start trying to look at our emotional health, we usually find ourselves in some denial or avoiding things, just trying to pretend that that's not happening in our life. Just pretending that things are wonderful. Does that help? No. I do believe in pleasant imagery. That means that sometimes I can deal with some of those things that are in my life by going to my happy place. Anybody here have a happy place? I look. Don't be looking at me like I have a happy place. My happy place is Hexham, England. When something's going on, sometimes y'all yelling at me or something like that. Miss Sierra's yelling at me or something like that, and they see a little bit of I'm just kind of glazed over. I'm walking through Hexham, England. That's a little border town, it's a market town over in England. Love that little town, and I go over there as often as I can and just go through there and have a real good time. I stay in a bed and breakfast over there that's in another little town right outside of Hexham called Juniper, and I stay in that little bed and breakfast, and it's just a wonderful place in the world, and so I'm there. So if you decide you're going to cuss me out and all of that kind of stuff, and I'm not responding the way that you think I should, I might be in Hexham. So, and it's good to get something like that. But just pretending I don't have an issue usually is not going to make the issue go away. Sometimes going to my happy place will make the issue more standable, more where I can deal with it a little bit better. So we don't want to avoid it. We don't want to be in denial about it. It's really there. So in the second stage of this thing, when I'm trying to get out of this, I can usually get into a place of insight and maybe even a little bit of acceptance. You've been willing to listen to professionals. We've got some professionals around here that it may pay us to listen to a little bit. Your counselors back there, they're professionals. They're well trained. Yes, sir. Can you go talk to your counselor about your meds? Yeah, you can talk to your counselors about that. You can talk to the therapist about that. Right after group, that'd be a good time to do it. Say it again? Yeah, you can talk to them. But I would go, you can talk to them about just about anything you need to talk to them about. They are professionals and they have been trained to help you deal with some of your issues. They're not going to usually deal with your issues. They're going to help you do it. And so you can go talk to your counselor. That's what they're here for. And you can go talk to the therapist. Your counselor is the first place to go. And then they will help you get with the therapist. Right? So, yeah, do that. You've been willing to listen to these professionals. You've completed assessments and accept insight into your current emotional health. You've not yet moved toward treatment, but you're still willing to accept the condition. Look, I mean, you know what? I know I have some issues, right? You leaving?
I'm just going to pass it up to, something. I really realized
Okay.
I've been alcoholic.
Yeah, you have.
Since I'm leaving the alcohol,
Okay.
sorry to everybody. I'm alcoholic, I've been alcoholic. I myself, I
Okay.
need some help.
Okay.
Okay?
This is what we're all about. So where are you going right now?
So,
To the restroom? You want us to wait on you so
no,
you get
no,
okay.
sir. No, sir. It's okay.
We've been in group for 12 minutes. So, but I do appreciate the fact that you have gotten to the place where you have made the decision that, yeah, I do need that help. Right? It took me a while to get to the place where I decided I need to get out of denial. I need to quit lying to me, to God, and to everybody else. So I'm glad you got there. You know, praise God for that. So seriously, we're going to be on break here in a minute and go to the potty. But after group, that's a good time to go talk to your counselor and let her know the decisions that you've made and see if she won't move you to fix it out so you can see the therapist as well. Oh, we're going to talk about a couple of real quick things. I want to just share some stuff with you today. This is all of this is about Albert Ellis. Y'all ever heard of him?
No.
No. Albert, he did, but a lot of dead people still talk, right? A lot of dead people still speak. Albert Ellis is the guy that came up with REBT, and that's Rational Emotive Behavior Therapy. That's so we can. This is why we can know what we are, what our belief system is, and we can know what we're thinking by watching our actions. When somebody comes in and does something in the class, or somebody does something in here, when somebody comes through and just walks through here while they're still talking and just giggling, we've had that happen. We don't have it as much now because I've been kicking people in the shin, but we have had people come through here and giggle and snort and talk right in the middle of our group. Y'all remember some of that? Back earlier, that was happening a whole lot. So by that action, what does that tell you that they're thinking?
This shit ain't stupid, it's useless, it's worthless.
Yeah, we can. I can go through there. It's not a big deal. I'm not going to worry about. It's okay if I disrupt that class. That's not a big deal. So if you go on past that, what's their belief system?
They got the jack leave moral compass.
Yeah, and they're thinking that their belief system is whatever I've got to say to my friend here is more important than what they're saying in that group. If I disrupt that group, that's okay because whatever I've got to say to them is more important. And so we can backtrack from whatever my beliefs, whatever I do to my thinking patterns, and back to my belief system. And we'll get that up here in just a minute. But there's some things I want us to look at. There are some unhealthy, self-defeating, negative emotions, and they have certain characteristics, right? This guy here has some of those things going on. He's looking over at this guy. This guy looks like he's got it all together. And that's intimidating this guy, right? Should you be intimidated by other people? No. How many other people you know in the world that are better than you? I don't know any. There's none of them. I'm not any better than anybody else. And they're not any better than I am. As far as God is concerned, we're all the same, right? We're all the same. So, we don't have to be intimidated by anybody, by their actions or by their whatever they are. So these things, these unhealthy, self-defeating, negative emotions have these types of characteristics. They likely lead to, this is what those beliefs are going to lead to. A lot of the time, they're going to lead to self-defeating behavior. What's a self-defeating behavior?
Thinking negatively.
Thinking negatively is a self-defeating behavior. Yeah, if I think I can't do it, guess what? You can't do it. Is getting angry in group and throwing my books around and doing, is that negative behavior?
No.
No, that's fun. No, that's negative. That's negative behavior. We shouldn't do all of that. How about if we're going to cuss one another out? Is that negative behavior? Yeah, that's negative behavior. What happens with some of that stuff sometimes is that we later on, these statements and actions are later regretted. You know, we get to a place where we have shame, guilt, remorse over some of the things that we have done, some of the things that we have said, right? I've said some things, some people that I tell you what, if I could go back and just suck those things back, and I've prayed about it, Lord, if there's, I know it's possible because I know you're God, so you could just whip me back to when I was that age and when I said that, and then, just whop me in the head, knock me out for a couple, do something, but, he's never done that. So that's going to stand, whatever I did, whatever I said. But look, that doesn't mean I'm not going to be regretful of that. So what does that tell me? I have to get to the place where I understand those things and I think about those things before I say those things or before I do those things, right?
So basically,
yeah, think about it before you do it. One of the things that we talk about in here is responding. I want to respond to everything that everybody ever says to me. I won't, because it's not the right thing. If somebody says something to me, if it's negative, if it's positive, if it's neutral, whatever it is, I need to be able to respond to it. But what do we usually do? We react to it. We just react to it because my belief system says that person does not have the right. And so if that person says that to me, if that person does that to me, if that person this, that, and the other, then I'm going to react in this way, and we set ourselves up for failure when we do that. I had a gentleman in the prison tell me that he'd always said all of his life, if somebody said something negative about his mother, he's going to kill him. I'll kill somebody that says something negative about my mom. So what happened to him? He had, say it again?
He ended up in jail for your top.
Yes, he did. He ended up in jail because he killed somebody. Because that person called him a dirty word that used his mom, and he didn't use her name. He just said, well, you're and so he took that as being an affront to his mother and shot him 7 times. 7 times. He was standing on the top of the stairs, shot him 1 time. He fell down the stairs, so he followed him down the stairs, and when he got down the bottom, he made sure. See, because he had set that up in his belief system that if that happened, I'm going to do this. There's no gray. There's no alternative. There's nothing. This is the only thing that can possibly happen. So when that person called him that name, ow. And so what did that do? Ended 2 lives. It ended the person's life that he had killed, but it also ended his own life. He's sitting out there in my class, been out there for 20 years so far. Okay. He was going to get out in a little while after he was there, but he spent 20 some odd years because of something he had said in his belief system. So I need to look at my belief system on a daily basis. I believe this. Is that positive for me? Is that going to be good for me? Is that going to be negative for me? Is that going to hurt me? If it is, should I change my belief system? Yeah, my belief system should be so that I can change it if I look at it and I know that it needs changing. There's something in there that I really truly believe, but down through the years it has done nothing but got me in trouble every time. Every time I've used that portion of my belief system, I've gone to jail, I've got my butt whipped, something has happened to me negatively. Then I need to pull that part of my belief system out, take a look at it. What's problematic is about 99% of the time we don't even know that that's been ingrained into our belief system. We don't know that. We just know that this is how I react. This is what I do. This is why many people in my anger class come to me and say, I just can't help myself. That's not true, is it? No, we get to choose whether or not we're going to get angry. But if my belief system says, if somebody says this to me, I'm going to get angry. If somebody does this to me, I'm going to get angry. If somebody looks at me wrong, I'm going to get angry. If somebody, real childish stuff, if somebody does this, and that's ingrained in my belief system, then that's going to happen. That's going to be driving my thinking. And then as my thinking goes, so does my actions. So I'm going to act out because of the way I'm thinking, and I'm going to think because of the way I believe it. So here's our little deal. So what's that? Somebody know? What is it?
A snow cone.
Snow cone? Yeah, that's a snow cone. What is that?
Bullshit belief system.
This is what most of our belief system is BS. But that stands for your belief system. See? So that leads to our thinking, right? See, and so if you and then our thinking leads to our actions. So if you see the actions of someone, like the young man here that had, that means, so that, what do you think he was thinking? Well, how funny is that? What looks like me? Yes, that don't look like me. Belief system, So his belief system, it'd be all right for me, even though in this place we don't use any kind of profanity like that. Anything at all that might be considered, we don't use that. It'd be all right for me to do that in this situation because it'd be, So that was his belief system. We go back down like that. So that's sometimes we need to change your belief system. Is there stuff in your belief system you don't need to change? Yeah. Good, positive stuff that never's going to hurt you. I believe that the Lord Jesus Christ is God. That's never going to change. That's who He is in my life. That's never going to change. Whatever you believe, that's your belief, and I don't care. All right? That's never going to change. That part of my belief system is going to stay that way forever and ever and ever. Now, I have a picture of myself when I was 19 years old and in the United States military, and I had my hat on and my suit on, and I'm going to tell you what. I may not still look exactly like that, but I'm still in here. So on my belief system, I have this belief system in there that I'm rich, young, and good looking. Now, okay, y'all believe that? That's your business. And I don't care. I still believe it. So somebody come by and look at. I see them girls when they walk through here, and they almost want to look, but they can't. Because they're trying to walk through. So that's my belief system. That's why I walk with my head up all. Actually, I walk with my head up all the time, try to keep this turkey neck from showing so bad. So some of those things, look, we need to know which ones are not supposed to be in there, which ones we're supposed to look at. My belief system is whose business? It's mine. My belief system affects who? Everybody. See, it's my business what my belief system is, but I need to get into my belief system and know that it affects you. My belief system is going to affect you. My belief system is going to affect other people. Here's the deal. Why don't we allow profanity here? We're trying to get you to a place where you have a better vocabulary. That's one little bitty thing. The other thing is you don't know everybody's belief system, right? Your belief system, it might be, hey, profanity is wonderful. It's fantastic. I love to say that. It just feels good coming out. Gives me a feeling of power and authority and all of that. But somebody else, you might be deeply offended to that. We don't want anybody here offended. So we don't want anybody, their feelings getting hurt. So I'm sitting out there going, well, F this, and F that, and F them there too, and then we F over there, and then F this. Okay, if that's your level of vocabulary, okay, but somebody else may be, deeply offended to that. So that may be, is it okay for that to be your belief system? Yes, it is. It might have a negative connotation to a whole lot of people, but that's your belief system. That's your belief system. But we need to also have in our belief system the understanding that my belief system needs to be at a place where it's not really hurtful to somebody else. I don't want to hurt. I don't want to hurt somebody else because of my belief system. So I might need to do that. There's some things there. Being impulsive. Anybody here impulsive? I'm a little impulsive. So is it good to be impulsive?
Depending on the situation.
Yes. Depending on the situation, it's a little bit impulsive. A little bit. It's fun. It's fun. What's the word? Spontaneity.
Spontaneous.
Yes, it's good to be spontaneous every now and then. Just have some fun in your life and stuff like that. Impulsivity though sometimes can get you in trouble because you say things, do things that you might regret later. Being aggressive is being aggressive wrong?
Depending on the situation.
Depending on the situation, almost always you need to look at something before you become aggressive. Several different reasons for that because look, aggression breeds what? Aggression breeds what? Aggression. You come at me aggressive, I'm going to get aggressive back. I'm going to defend myself, right? And everybody does that. Most everybody does it. There's some people who take off running. I've never been able to do that. Well, yeah, so we're usually going to aggression just breeds more aggression, and so it just gets worse. So excessive use of force to change, adversity, failure to persist at addressing the adversity, failure to do the things that I need to do. Whose adversity? What's adversity? Doing something bad towards somebody else. Sometimes it's being aggressive. And instead of being aggressive, what should I be? Should be assertive. Because I don't want to be passive. Aggressive means it's all about me. Passivity means it's all about you. Assertiveness means it's about the two of us. Both of us are going to get our needs met. Both of us are going to come out winners on this. In aggression, I'm the only one that's winning. Passivity, you're the only one. I'm giving up all of my rights to you. You're the only one winning. But when we're assertive, then both of us are winning. That's how we're supposed to be doing that. These are some of the emotional disturbances that all of these things happen to us. Unhealthy negative emotions undermine our ability to have some happiness for as long as the adversity exists. As long as we're being adverse to everybody around us, or as long as we're being adverse to anybody around us, we're not happy. When you think about anger and all of that stuff, you go back and you think about that. The last time you were angry, that wasn't a happy situation. That wasn't a happy situation. It's not happy because somebody's always getting hurt. Now, maybe not physically, but mentally, spiritually, somehow or another, people are getting hurt if we're angry. Sometimes it's me. Sometimes it's somebody else.
No, that's really emotional. That's almost damaging.
Yeah, well, it is. He said sometimes the emotional damage can be more than physical damage, more damning than physical damage, and it can be. It can be. I don't want anybody to punch me, but I'd rather sometimes being punched than get my feelings hurt. I would. I don't like that feeling at all. Ability. This also undermines our ability to adapt and cope with your problem. How many people have problems? All right. If you don't have any problems, you're dead. We'll have to move you because you'll start smelling after a while. But if we have all of this self-defeating behavior in our life, it's going to keep us from being able to do that. It also keeps us from having the ability to view future events objectively. What that means is, okay, I failed here today, then I'm always going to fail. I had a guy work for me. His name was Michael. I'll tell you his last name. best counselor I've ever seen in my life when it came to documentation. He was okay with groups and stuff like that as well. He was just good at his job. But he was really, really, man, he shone with documentation. It was always perfect. So when the auditors came, I would always give them his files and stuff, because I knew they got Michael's file, we're going to be 100% because he's never going to have a bad file. But it took him 5 times to pass the LCDC test. And the first time he failed it, he's saying, he was telling himself and everybody else, I just can't pass test. And he was a poor test taker. That was what happened. So I just can't take the test. And he kept doing that. He kept doing it until it was in his belief system, I'm not going to be able to pass that stupid test. You get 4 shots. He did all 4 shots, failed every one of them, had to go back to school. You got to go back to school for 18 hours. So he went back to school, got all of that done, came back, and on the 5th one, he passed it, but he had to change his thinking. He had to change his belief system. His belief system was at that point in time, as he failed all of those stinking tests, it's a 5-hour test. It's a hard test. It ain't easy. It's a hard test. And so after he failed it all of that time, he had that belief system, I'm never going to pass. I'm never going to do it. But he decided to do it one more time, and then he and I, a whole bunch of other people, got him to the place where he changed his belief system, looked at that belief system and said, that's what, and changed it to, yes, I can pass this test. It's not magic. It's a stinking test. And he went in there and passed. Now, they did put it in the newspaper that he had the biggest, test scores ever. I went with my lady that wound up being my director at some point, but I went to test with her. I passed it on the first test. She made the highest grade they had ever seen. She's the one they put in the paper. Wow! Yeah, so he didn't do that, but he passed the test. But he had to first pass the test in his heart, pass the test in his belief system. That's what we have to do. I've had so many people tell me, yes, I've relapsed 7 times. I'm never going to be able to stay sober. Okay, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. You're going to get out of here. You're going to relapse within a few days. You are not going to make it unless you change your belief system. You got to get that belief out of your heart. You got to get a different belief system in there. You got to go in your belief system, suck that out, throw that away, and put a new. How do you change your belief system?
Think about it.
Say it again.
Think about it.
Yeah, you need to be thinking about it. Using positive. Positive what? Positive thinking. The other thing we talk about all the time, every meeting almost, positive attitude. Self-talk. Positive self-talk. You have to tell yourself what you believe. Most of us allow other people to tell us what we believe. They'll come along and say, hey, you're stupid. And immediately, we say, well, we're stupid. Not stupid. I've got to tell myself what it is that I believe. I believe I can do that. I do believe, yes, I can stay in my recovery. Yes, I can go day 1, day 2. Yes, I can go day after day after day without alcohol, without drugs. Yes, I can. We need to be able to do that stuff. That's how we change our belief system. So those kinds of thoughts. These kinds of thoughts can lead to emotional disturbances, dysfunction, unhealthy and negative emotions like anxiety, depression, guilt, shame, hurt, dysfunctional anger, dysfunctional jealousy, dysfunctional envy, and dysfunctional regret. Now here's the deal that's where this guy is. He's having all this dysfunctional mess going on in his life. And if you have all this dysfunctional life stuff going on in your life, you can't do a lot of good stuff. Now, on the other side of it, healthy, self-helping negative emotions have these characteristics. there are some negative emotions that we can use in our lives that are going to be positive as they come out, and they will likely lead us to self-helping constructive behavior. If I know, look, that I have some anger issues in my life, I can have a good constructive anger. What's constructive anger?
Good anger.
Good anger, yeah, that's a way to say it. If I get some, look, sometimes anger will move me to do the right thing. Sometimes anger will allow me to do something that I need to do. Sometimes anger will push me in the right direction. I remember when I was in college, failed a test. You know, in college, they'll come up, okay, today's this. What? Wait a minute. Ain't nobody said nothing about that. You know, in high school, they don't do that. Sometimes they'll have a pop quiz. In college, most of the quizzes are pop. You know, I mean, okay, we're going to do this today. Well, what? Wait a minute. And so, you know, we had food. Okay, we're doing this. Okay, failed it miserably. So what I do? Felt real bad, real terrible, got really angry with myself. Because you know, I hadn't been studying that. I hadn't been doing what I was supposed to do. So I went back and started studying that. And the next time that we had that, I passed it. I didn't pass it well. I passed it because it was in statistics. Statistics. I don't know if y'all have ever studied statistics, but that's the bane of my existence when I was in college. I put my GPA down and everything. Statistics to me are just Greek. I just cannot get them. Regular math, got all that. I can handle all that. I can count all that kind of stuff, but statistics can't do it. They bring you to a well-planned behavior, self-helping, constructive behavior, well-executed behavior, persistent, assertive behavior to address adversity. They bring you back to a place where you can provide feedback that what you want, desire, and value is occurring in your life. This is what's going on in my life, and it's okay for me. Healthy negative emotions allow for some happiness in spite of something negative going on in your life. Look, here's the deal. We're going to have some negativity in our lives, right? It's gonna happen. Yeah, you know, and when it does, we can either respond to that one way or another. We can get negative with the negativity, or we can decide to stay positive. And we can still have some positive things going on for us, even in that negativity. And instead of anxiety, which is a negative emotion, we can have concern. That's the positive negative emotion. Is it okay for me to be concerned about things?
Yeah.
Yeah, because concern can be a positive, motivating emotion. If I'm concerned about whether or not I'm going to do well, what am I going to do? I'm going to study. I'm going to make sure I'm prepared. I'm going to make sure that, you know, I have everything that I need when all of that happens. And then instead of depression, I can have a little bit of sadness. Is it okay to be sad? Sure it is. Anybody here ever seen a squirrel get run over and flattened out and guts go everywhere and eyeballs roll down the hill and all that kind of stuff? I don't like watching that. You know, it makes me sad. Right? I can get a little sad over that. And I was hearing somebody here that was talking about the ASPCA or whoever that is, their stuff on television, their ads about all of the starving dogs and cats and horses and all of that kind of stuff. I don't know how they get any money for that at all. I don't ever watch that. When it comes up, they're gone. Pop, they're gone. And then we'll go somewhere else, and then we'll come back. They're still on pop, we're gone. We're not going to watch that commercial. It'll make you sad. It'll bring you to a place where you just feel real bad about the whole world. Yeah, you know, so I'm not going to watch all that kind of junk because I really don't want to be sad. Why do you think they show you all of that?
Guilt trip you into giving them money.
Guilt trip you into giving them money. You can't go help those poor animals, but they're out there helping those poor animals. Let's send them some money. I think my wife sends them some, but not because of that commercial. But I've never watched them. You know. So guilt. Instead of guilt, sometimes we have a little remorse. Remorse is better than guilt. guilt means I am guilty, I am nasty, look what I've done. What does remorse mean?
I feel bad.
I feel bad about doing that, and I'm going to try to do something to make it better. I'm remorseful. I'm remorseful about that. You know, I'm a little bit remorseful because the guy at the trailer place told me, said, well, you know, you're supposed to bring your trailer in once a year to have it resealed. First time anybody ever told me that. So I was a little bit remorseful at that point in time that I hadn't brought that trailer in and had that done. Then I was a little bit more remorseful that since he didn't tell me all that, I didn't slap him. But then I said, no, that would have made me feel guilty, right? So instead of shame, I don't want to be shamed. Some of the time, I have felt a lot of shame because, the issue that we have, the disease that we struggle in is shame-based. Because when we get high, we get drunk, we'll do things that we would not normally do. We would do some horrible stuff. So that shame is there. But instead of the shame, the positive negative emotion is disappointment. Have y'all ever been disappointed in some of the stuff you've done?
Yeah.
I have been disappointed in the stuff that I have done. I'm disappointed because of the bulletin that I gave y'all yesterday. Y'all see that? Did anybody read those? If you didn't read it, it's a shame. You ought to read it because there's a couple of glaring mistakes, and I wouldn't redid it. I left some of the newer ones out here that have been redone, and they're much, much better. But, I had a couple of things there that were complete, and I was disappointed in that completely. And that's okay. What did I do? I was disappointed, so what did I do? I went back and fixed it. I had given one to all of the big bosses and everything down on the end. I went and recollected them. I said, "Look, give me that." So they all gave me theirs back. I threw them away. I redid it, and then I brought it back. I left one over here for Miss Cynthia and Mark. Because that would. So, what did disappointment lead to? Accomplishment. Disappointment led to accomplishment. Disappointment can lead me to a better place. Where guilt usually leads me to a place where I'm hiding it. I don't want people to know. Guilty. When you go before the judge, do you really want him to say you're guilty? Well, of course not. Because now I got to pay for all of those things that I did. Now I have to go to prison for 39 years. Now I have to pay back all of that stuff I stole, broke, burnt, whatever. I got to do it. I don't want to be found guilty. Look, beyond all that, I don't want to feel guilt. It's a whole lot better. I don't like to feel disappointment either. I went home after the insurance guy over there said, well, this looks like we ain't going to be able to do this, and it's $10,000 and all that kind of crazy mess. And I'm talking to my wife, and y'all put your head down. Hold it. I could just tell in her eyes that she was disappointed. She's ready for this little trip. So, they coming him. Look, you can tell who's somebody nervous. Oh, they coming him. Holy, maybe they after that squirrel out there. He's been doing some stuff. I don't know. Say it again.
Pull back. He ain't doing
that. Look, I can tell y'all this. Here he come. Here he come.
Somebody thinks you get served.
Yeah, it ain't. Look, when he come to the door, y'all open the door. Leave the door locked. Leave him outside. See, just to see. We'll see if he'll shoot the lock off.
He just need to take you outside and ask you a couple of questions.
If he starts shooting, I'm just gonna give up. Whichever one of y'all he wants, he's got. The other one that's a dysfunctional, unhealthy emotion is hurt, and I do suffer from that sometimes. But oh yeah, let that boy in. Let that boy in.
What's going on, man?
Thank you, officer. Yeah, that's about what they do. He's constable. They serve people. That's about what they do. So, but see, he was a nice guy. He said, okay, So, we can have what's called functional healthy anger. We need to understand that when we have anger in our lives, it's because we decided we were going to get angry. Every time you've ever been angry, it's because you wanted to. It's not because of what somebody in your family or somebody else or the police or whoever. It's not because any of those people what they did or said or how the Saturn aligned with Mars. It's not any of that. It's because you want to be angry. And have any of us been angry in here?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I've seen some people. Not you. You haven't. I haven't seen you be angry. I've seen you be, aggravating, but I haven't seen you be angry. But I have seen a few people in this group be angry. I've seen a few people at the group of North. Not the ladies that are there now. Don't know you, but there was a lady over there that was angry, but she got angry because why? Why did she get angry?
She allowed herself to.
She allowed herself to get it. She wanted to get angry. We get angry because we like the feeling of it, but there is also righteous anger, good anger. There's anger, somebody out here, if you go out there and 4 or 5 people jump on you and start beating you up and all of that kind of stuff, I will allow myself to be angered over that. That's not right. That's not, one-on-one, okay, that's one thing, but 4 or 5 on one, that's just not right, right? So if I see something like that happen, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say, hey, Mark. Hey, Mark, Brother Mark, Mr. Washington. Anyway, see if we can't get him to go out there, or at least call the police. There's also functional healthy jealousy. Y'all ever heard of that? How can jealousy be healthy?
It might hurt you.
Say it again. It can be used as a motivational tool. It also can look when you look at somebody else who's doing a really, really good job, who's a really, really high member of society, who's doing something really well, and you can say, I would like to be like that person. And it's a good thing to pick somebody out and emulate that person if they are a good person, right? If they got some good things going on for them. Now, there's a couple of guys that I love how they did things, and I try to emulate how they do things or how they did things. I'm not very good at it, and a lot of the stuff that they did, I'm not really. Some of the stuff I don't agree with, but mostly for their character and all of that kind of stuff, I try to emulate, and I'm jealous of being that. I would like to be like them. One of them is Martin Luther King. I want to stand up for my ideals the way he did. He died for it. When he went to do that speech, he knew they'd already said they're going to kill you, and they went and told him they're going to kill you. He said, "Well, I got God's work to do." Anyway, I'm also I look up a little bit to Brother Barack Obama, and look, here's the reason. He didn't have a chance. He had no chance to be president of the United States. Like he said himself, young black man, no experience with a funny name. But what was his motto? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, no. Even though it's impossible, even though it's up here where you're never going to reach it, it's not, yes, I can. Yes, I can. I want to do that. Say it again.
I said, yes, we can put a man in a woman's bathroom. Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Marriage.
Yes, we can. And we did. And we did. So, yes, we can. Now, like I say, I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that either one of those men, espouse a lot of the time. But I agree with some of the stuff that got them to where they are, where they got themselves. So, there's healthy envy, the same thing. There's healthy regret. We can use all of those things in the way that we're supposed to. So here's the emotion. What's thematic? I'm not even going to ask y'all. So emotion, if I have unhealthy concern, unhealthy anxiety, I need to change that over to where it is healthy concern. If I can be concerned about something without being anxious about it, that's what I need to do. Right? I need to move to that place, become more concerned about something that's more healthy. Instead of being depressed, I need to work at just dealing with some healthy sadness, a loss, failure, undeserved plights of myself or others. That's a whole lot better than that. Unhealthy is guilt, but healthy is remorse, breaking a moral code. If I fail to live up to a moral code, hurting somebody, failing to do the good things in life or helpful acts that I want to, it's okay for me to be a little bit remorseful, but I don't need to live in guilt. Unhealthy is shame. There is, I don't want to stay in shame, falling very short of our ideal. This is where I want to be. I have found myself here, and I believe now I'm somewhere like this, falling very short of our ideal, being publicly judged or falling short of a standard. It's okay to be disappointed in myself sometimes, but I don't want to be ashamed of myself. And I don't want to have anybody shaming me. I've had people try to shame me before. No, and some of those folks have gotten me to that place of disappointment. One thing, I'm disappointed in them, because they have not gotten themselves to the place they need to be. Either hurt or sorrow, which one should I be? Someone important to us demonstrating that they're investing less in our relationship than we have, treating us badly, reciprocating with less than what we believe is our due. That can make me feel kind of bad. I can be kind of sorrowful for that. I was last night. I finished up. I did the bulletin, and I told you I repaired the bulletin. I made it right. So I'm sitting there on the couch last night. And my wife, we got kind of a little love seat thing here. I said, "You want to see the bulletin I made?" She said, "Sure." So I popped the bulletin open and I'm showing her the bulletin. And she said, "Well, that ain't how that's supposed to be." Well, she said, "You ought to have a bulletin just one page." I said, "Well, yeah. Mr. Farmer has said he wanted 4 pages." So she disrespected, So, okay, at that moment, I felt a little bit I just closed it up. So, okay. But I felt a little, disrespected on that felt a little sorrow. But it didn't get me to the place where I'm hurt and I'm going to kill her or I'm, run off and leave her or anything like that. So there's unhealthy anger, and then there's healthy anger being obstructed. Someone, including ourselves, is transgressing our rules. Someone threatening our self-esteem. Someone cutting us off in traffic. I can get a little bit, I'm not happy with that. But I don't need to be at a place where I have this seething anger. I'm going to run that person down, get out and beat them up and all of that stuff. I saw a video thing the other day on YouTube where 2 guys got out of their car and they ran. This other car was behind them, and they got out of the car and ran. One was a big guy and ran up to the thing and he started punching in that car, and then you heard 3 pops, pep, pep, pep. And he backed off and then started running down the road and fell over dead. Killed him. Killed him. Yeah. And what? Hey, this guy in the van, he was,
He went home.
He went home. Yeah, because they might have come. He might have went to jail for a couple of minutes, but he was defending himself. So that's crazy. You never know. So. When we get back in here, we're going to talk about some of the techniques that we have for disputing irrational beliefs. It's called DIBS, D-I-B-S. We're going to be disputing some irrational beliefs. The first thing I have is a whole set of irrational beliefs, and we're going to go over those, talk about those for a few minutes. But we're going to take our break early, not all that early, but a little bit early, and we'll be back in here at 15 minutes after.
Now, I know you do. Jeez. Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh, you know, our basis, yeah, just a dog. I want to, that's what I use. I just use that to fill in our basis. Like morning check-in. That's what I use. The rules. Like that. That's football. That's your hand. That's just a little bit more work. That's all. No, right there was the one you talking about was the first the Bible said, I just put in the wrong words. Yeah, big. The six freedom. It's only freedom. Come see dad. That ain't freedom. Just don't come see dad. Well, you want to think right now. One I can get on. Oh, you talking about So, better go sleep right here. It's that point. Lucas, when you buy stuff, you just want to lay down. That's fine. They won't let me take our phone. That's essential. I can take it to,
Only time I get like that whenever I come off the crap, and thank God I didn't have that from again. Praise Him, it's answered prayer. Give me some down I had. Withdraw. Bow and carry on. I sweat a lot yesterday. It's hot. Oh, because it. I'm just going to drink and walk. I'm I've been walking. I've been walking again. I forget that she knows what's in the bench.
Oh,
Show you. I know that here. It's single thing today. 36. I still got 36.
We're still early. Can't start early. You know I left my glasses.
You okay this morning, Miss Casey?
Yeah.
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 I'm calling bullshit on that.
Yeah.
That said it all.
She emailed her, hey, that we done.
Okay.
All righty then. We're starting late so that we can quit early, right? Yeah.
Like in there.
Yeah, that's it. That's right. Doing it right. So we're going to talk about dibs real quickly. We want to get to the place where we have our rationality in the right place. We want to increase our rationality, reduce our self-defeating irrational beliefs. Now, if I'm changing my irrational, self-defeating beliefs, how do I do that? Yeah. Positive self-talk. Thank you. You can't be going, man. You can't leave with, we need somebody that knows that stuff.
I don't know about all that.
So 10 minutes every day, we need to be asking ourselves the following questions, and then we need to be not merely parroting all of this stuff, but we need to be getting some good, healthy answers, writing them down, and using positive self-talk. What I want to have in my life, I can have in my life, but I need to talk to myself about it. All right? Now look, here's the deal. Why don't most people buy into that? Fear? Maybe so. Maybe so. And that's a good point, because a lot of people don't want to leave our self-defeating behaviors. We have had those our whole life. We're comfortable with those things. There are fuzzy little sins that we want to keep and take care of and all of that kind of stuff too. The other reason is because it's so simple sounding. We kind of got this idea that in order to change the direction of my life, something has to be complicated. If I'm going to change my whole belief system, change my whole outlook on life, change my whole life, something has to be complicated. It has to take a long time, and it has to be seriously complicated. And I need to have 5 psychiatrists and 2 medical doctors and a therapist and 5 LCDCs to help me do that. when in fact it is simplistic in nature. I need to tell myself what I want myself to be. Positive self-talk tells me this is what I want to be. And I have so many people tell me, and I haven't had a lot here lately, not in years actually, but I've had people tell me, I'm not going to lie about it. So we need to understand that positive self-talk is not lying to ourselves, it's speaking the goal that I want to have in my life. If that's what you want to be, if you want to stop smoking, we had in our little facility a smoking cessation program that cost $125, and if you went through the program, guaranteed you stop smoking. You had to go from the front of the program to the end of the program, but by the end of the program, you would stop smoking. 90% of it is positive self-talk. First day you're there, if you're smoking 9 packs of cigarettes a day, first thing you say is what? I don't smoke. Not I'm going to stop. No, if you say I'm going to stop, that means you probably never will. Because going to is like tomorrow, it never comes. I don't smoke. Well, what if your cigarette is going to you? Okay, I don't smoke. Even as you're lighting up, I don't smoke. I hate cigarettes. They stink. They're horrible. They're terrible. I don't like them. They're too expensive, so I don't use them. I don't smoke. And I'm going to guarantee you that we have some vitamins and stuff that we give as well, but that over a period of time, you'll stop smoking. It goes, I've never
So y'all don't do that
seen it fail. Sir?
Y'all don't do that no more?
Well, no, we closed that facility, but, we still have some of the stuff. But, so what self-defeating irrational beliefs do I want to dispute and get something better in it? Here's something. Y'all tell me if this is irrational. I must receive love from someone for whom I really care. There's somebody out there really I'm in love with. I mean, I'm really in love with that person. Do they necessarily have to return the love to me? No. And that's a sad thing because I have been desperately in love with Sandra Bullock for years.
No.
She don't even know I'm alive. Yeah, she don't care. It's just a terrible thing. It hurts my heart, and it's even affected my liver a little bit. But she just don't care. But here's the thing. That's an irrational thought for me to believe that just because I love you, you have to reciprocate. You ever had anybody like that in your life? Yeah. I told y'all about Melody Jackson, huh? Yeah, not you weren't here, but I've told the group about Melody Jackson. A lot of time. That was in the 6th grade. She thought I smelled bad. She was probably right. And, I 12-year-old poor boy. So, can I rationally support a belief like that? Can I make that a rational belief? No. There's no way that can be a rational belief. So there's a lot of evidence that exists of the falseness of that belief. Many indications exist that the belief that I must receive love from someone whom I really care is false. Because, you just can't. No law of the universe. Now, there might ought to be one, but, we're not the ones who are it's not up to us what the laws of the universe are, right? That's God's business. He's the one who does that. So there's no law of the universe that says someone that I care for has to love me back. There's no law out there that says that. So if I do not receive love, this is something that we can say instead. If I do not receive love from that one person, I can still get it from other people. And I can also find happiness in other ways. Just because, I know people that have pined after somebody for years, and they're just destroying their own happiness because that other person. Yeah, and they're never going to. I know a young lady who is, man, she loves her husband, and I praise God for it. She just really sold out to their relationship, and he's got 4 or 5 girlfriends. He's not like that, and he'll just tell her, "Well, I'm going to go," and he'll go live with somebody else for 2 or 3 weeks. And she's beautiful, and she has she's real sweet. She's nice, kind, sweet, and good. They've got a little girl and all of this stuff. So he is never, ever, ever going to reciprocate with the same type of love that she's giving him. And that's a really sad thing. But no, I don't think anything. There's nothing that she can do to make that situation change. But there's a lot of other ways that she can get happiness, not necessarily from another person or anything like that, but from a lot of other things. Now, if someone I deeply care for rejects me, is that good?
It's not good.
No, it's not good. No, it's going to be most unfortunate, but I'm not going to die from it. We need to get to the place where we can understand if that person rejects me, if they don't care for me, then I may need to be at the place where I'm willing to move on. Willing to move on. It's just like chocolate pudding. Everybody here like chocolate pudding? No? If you like chocolate pudding, though, when the chocolate pudding is out, guess what happens? There ain't no more chocolate pudding. You do not need to commit suicide because there ain't no more chocolate pudding. Because the guy's going to be coming bringing chocolate pudding. He's going to bring the chocolate pudding, and before he gets here, while the chocolate pudding is out, we still have vanilla pudding. You can do something a little bit different. Although I didn't have a whole lot of luck in winning that love in the past, does that mean that I'm never going to have any luck winning love in the future? No, because there's 8 billion people on the face of the earth. There's somebody out there that won't mind how you look or smell or something. There's somebody out there. There's no adage that says there's a person for everybody. So there's somebody out there. So there's no evidence exists for any absolute must. So consequently, no proof exists that I will always have anything, including love. I may get rejected by somebody, but that's okay. Things may not really wind up exactly how I want them, but that doesn't mean that I need to fall apart. Right? And a lot of times it has to do with relationship. Other times it has to do with education. It has to do with jobs. It has to do with promotion. It has to do with all sorts of things. I may not ever get that job that I want. But there are other jobs out there that are just as fulfilling, and I can go and shoot for those, right? As long as I don't allow myself to get somewhere crazy. All right, I want to go through some stuff here with us real quick. Irrational beliefs. Healthy desires become unhealthy when they turn into demands. Think about that. I desire a good lunch today. Don't you? You don't?
Yes, sir.
You do? Oh, he's shaking his head now. Okay, so whatever we have for lunch, I'll make sure he gets a bad lunch. He wants a bad lunch. So I want a good lunch today. But look, I have that healthy desire for a good lunch today. And my wife has sent me some stuff, and so I'm going to eat some of that. But she said, way too much. I'm certainly not going to eat it all, but I'm going to eat some of it. But, when it becomes a demand, you will give me a healthy lunch today. Then it's unhealthy. Because I'm going to guarantee you, Mr. Q in there, he's going to have some healthy, good-tasting lunch for you. But we can't go and demand anything from him, right? And y'all know that tomorrow is the 8th, right? We're having barbecue. They're going to barbecue out.
They said you bring donuts, get it kicked off.
I was going to bring donuts, but, they told me that he won't barbecue donuts.
No, the donuts don't already be ready. That's for coffee.
Well, and I told you, I apologize. I apologize. Well, it's about that. Y'all got to save money, build a trailer. But I also apologize to y'all because that donuts are poison. I don't give people poison, so I'm not going to do that. The lady in here I told y'all about had the thing of candy all the time.
Yeah.
Somebody, wasn't me, but somebody wrote poison and put a little sticky in there that says poison on her candy bowl, and it is. It's poison. So no, I don't do that.
It's good poisons versus bad.
So he's talking about good poison. Okay. So here's the deal. Healthy desires become unhealthy when they turn into demand. So a belief in following irrational ideals will dramatically reduce your confidence. So I want to succeed. Therefore, I must succeed. How come that's unhealthy? Yeah, how come that's unhealthy? If I want to succeed, so therefore I've got to succeed. I must succeed. If I fail the test, then I'm going to fall completely flat on my face. I can't do it. Then I'll never be able to do it. I don't want to relapse. Therefore, relapsing is awful. I can't stand myself when I'm using. I'm going to tell you something. If indeed we relapse, who are you? You are still you. Your disease just tricked you again, right? So here's the deal. This is one thing that we here in this facility. We say relapse is something we don't kill people. We don't throw people away for relapsing. But relapsing is not okay.
No.
It's not okay. But you're not a horrible person. What happened is horrible. What happened is awful. But you're not awful. No, you're still who you are. So irrational beliefs can lead us to other problems because you believe that you must not relapse, but not only fear the relapse, but also feel ashamed, guilty, or angry when and if you do. The belief that you must not fail leads to a whole lot of emotional turmoil. So we need to understand that, hey, I'm capable of failure. I don't want to relapse. It's not in my plans to relapse. I'm not looking for relapse, but it's a possibility. It's a possibility. There's all I haven't had the real desire to use alcohol, drugs, and drugs, but I will tell you that I have the desire today to go get a honey bun. And I'm in recovery from sugar, right? But I have that desire. So, yes, sir.
Like we had a discussion yesterday. Both said this, like some of it's not the way.
Yeah.
It's group.
Yeah.
No, you relapse and still ain't in the world.
It's not the end of the world. Relapse is not always death. Sometimes it does end up in us dying. But in this group, the statistics show that a certain amount of us are not going to make it. And if we get out of here and something happens that we don't make it, something happens that we do relapse, what should we do?
Come back.
Yeah, come back. Come back. Nobody's going to shame you. Nobody's going to push you around. Nobody's going to laugh at you. Nobody's going to slap you upside the head, although some of you need it. We're not going to do any of those things. What are we going to do? We're going to love you, put you back in here. We're going to start over again. But at some point in our lives, we need to know that there is a place where we can get to where relapse doesn't have to happen. Well, we stay sober. And we can stay sober forever and ever and ever and a day and do that. So here's some insight into our thinking. We don't merely get upset. And look, does anybody here know who Epictetus is? A philosopher. Yeah, he is. Or was. He's been dead a couple months. He's the one that first brought this up. We don't merely get upset, but we mainly get upset or upset ourselves by holding inflexible beliefs. I believe this, whether it's true or not, and I'm never going to change that belief. This is who I am, and that's what's going to happen. No matter when or how we start upsetting ourselves, we continue to feel upset because we cling to those irrational beliefs. Just like the guy that was in the prison with me over there that shot somebody because they said something about his mama. Ended both lives because of an irrational belief. Something he had stuck in there and clung to it that whole time. So the only way to get better is to work hard at changing our beliefs. And we talked about that earlier, but the only way to do it is to practice, practice, practice. We need to be saying, we need to be changing whatever it is I want to change. I need to be saying it. And be saying, I'm a good whatever. I'm a good father. I'm a good husband. I'm a good wife. Look, if you're, and I was talking to a fellow not too long ago, has some issues with some particular drug, and CPS got in his life, and CPS took the children. That's horrible, isn't it? You ever had your kids removed from your home? Yeah, that's bad. It's sad stuff. But when you get back down and think about it, is it okay for your kids to grow up in a household where everybody's strung out on methamphetamines or cocaine? No. No. Say it again?
It's not fair.
It is not fair to them. That's right. That's right. So although we all think irrationally from time to time, we can work at eliminating the tendency, getting it out there, getting it out of there. It's unlikely that we can ever entirely eliminate the tendency to think irrationally, but we can reduce it, get it down to where it's nearly nothing, get the duration down, the intensity of our irrational belief by developing some insights about our irrational belief. Now here's the ABC of emotion. How many people know what the ABC of emotion is? Well, we're going to talk about it in just a minute. So what do you think that A would stand for? Anger? Goodness. What's that? Good guess, but not true. No, it actually stands for activating event. Somebody tell me what activating event means. Trigger. Something happens. What happens? Something.
Something interrupting, challenge your beliefs.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So something happens, but it's an activating event. What does it activate?
Behavior.
Yeah.
Belief system.
The activating event activates my belief system. Something happens, my belief system says, hey, you believe those people don't have a right to say that to you. You believe those people don't have the right to say that about your children. Your activating event activates your belief system. And once your belief system gets activated, what happens to you?
Behavior.
Start thinking. And then your behavior. Start thinking. And then that happens. So the second thing that we see, is B. And we already talked about it. So what does B stand for? Belief system. So this is what the activating event activates, is my belief system. So once my belief system is activated, things are going to Hades in a handbasket. So what I believe about the situation is activated. What is number C?
Number C.
Now, what is letter C?
Oh.
A good chance. That's not true. Consequences. There's always consequences when I do something. When I have an activating event, my belief system takes off, and then there's a consequence. There's always a consequence. It doesn't have to be something that's even seen, because some of it's emotional. I can just feel bad about something. My belief system has been activated, and then I feel bad about what's happening. Or it's behavioral. I get angry and do something stupid. And then the consequences can go, I get a black eye, they get a black eye, I go to jail, they die, I go to prison. The consequences are going to build up as the consequences build up. As the event gets bigger, the consequences get bigger. So, what we're working at next is D. What is D? D stands for dispute. So now, whatever the belief is, I'm disputing the belief. You know, I have this belief in me that nobody can say I'm short. You know, this just ain't right. Nobody can say that. It's just not right. You shouldn't say that. So when somebody says, hey dude, you're pretty short, that's an activating event. My belief system kicks in, and I say that person has no right to live. Remember the song? Short people got no reason to live. Y'all remember the song?
No.
Man, y'all a bunch of young people. Yeah. So, you know, my belief system pops out, and then the consequences when I'm going to get angry about you calling me a short person. So what do I need to do? What do I need to do? You know, I can understand y'all being distracted by the good looking, but you know, Q ain't all that pretty, sir.
Any phones going on back there?
Any phones going on?
Yeah, the noise back there.
Okay. So, what I need to do after the consequences is what I'm yelling at somebody about calling me short or something like that. But what I need to do now is dispute the belief. Does it matter whether or not you think I'm short?
No.
No. Am I short?
You're average height.
About average. You know, I'm shorter than a lot of people. I'm taller than a few people. I'm almost the perfect height. I'm 5'8". The Jewish height, the normal height of a Jewish man is 5'7". Jewish people are God's chosen people, so 5'7" is the perfect height for a man. So I'm a little bit too tall. Don't look at me like that. My belief system is my belief system.
I've never heard that. So.
That's true. That's true. I wouldn't tell you a lie unless I could get some money out of it. So that's the dispute. And now, what is E? Effect. So now I have what's called an effective philosophy. That means an effective philosophy means I'm being able to take a look at my belief system, and if change is needed, I can effectively change my belief system. You know, I am shorter than a lot of people, but it doesn't bother me anymore. At one time in my life it did, but it doesn't bother me anymore. And, you know, I've come to understand that what you think of me is your business, right? If you don't like me, that's your business, right? If I don't like you, the same goes. It's my business. I don't have to like you. That's my business. Yeah. What I think of you, that's my business. What you think of me is my business. So this does that. This affects me in just that way. And then we have an F. Wait a minute, I got to get a different color. So what does F stand for?
Say F.
Yeah.
Here. Conclusion.
But it doesn't have anything to do with the F.
New belief.
New belief? That's not correct.
New things.
New feeling. Because when this was my belief system and I went in and that belief system, it caused consternation, it caused anger, it caused all of those kinds of things. But then when I changed that belief system, I got it out of there, I have a new feeling. Now, if you think somebody tells me, well, man, you're short, so it doesn't bother me anymore. I don't get angry about it. I don't get crazy about it. I get more amused about it than anything else. And that's when I'll tell them the story about the 5'7" Jewish guy. You know, because now I'm a little bit more amused about the fact that they think that I'm short than that. So what all of that whole thing there was to show us that whatever that belief system, how do you determine whether or not you need to change your belief system?
I think deep down we all know.
Consequences.
Say it again.
I said I believe. I think that deep down we all know whether our system is flawed.
And that's
up and it's not like everything else.
yeah.
We either have to make a decision to change it, which he does do.
Yeah.
I think where I want to go, where I'm thinking about going to, that's one thing. Once you go and do it, it's kind of the
Yeah, the yin and yang from all that stuff. Here's the deal, and I like the way you said that, because some of us do know our belief system. Some of us know exactly what we believe. Some of us don't. A lot of people have no idea what their basic belief system is. They just know they have had this set of belief systems since they were 6 years old. When are your belief systems fully formed? How old are you when your belief system is fully formed? How old? Never. What do you think?
I think in your 20s.
In your 20s, early 20s, maybe? What do you think?
I say your teens. Really, they never really cared.
And your
I would
teens,
say your teens, about 14, 15.
14, 15.
Yep.
Anybody
You know,
else?
right from wrong.
Like some
like say that like a child by the age of read 6 by a certain age and they've already developed. They're gonna, I guess, their character. You're gonna see that by a young age. You're already gonna have developed that into what kind of person that they're, characteristics, personalities. So when it comes to beliefs,
yeah.
I would probably say if they're being taught, I'd say within years after.
Well, usually our belief system is in place by about 6, maybe 7. We know what mommies do. We know what daddies do. We know what policemen do. We know what teachers do. We know we have our basic belief system in place, and it's according to the familial system, your family system, because families teach differently, you know, because is it normal and natural for mom to be in the kitchen smoking dope? Yeah, it is. In a lot of families, that's normal, natural behavior. That's what happens. And daddy's in the living room smoking marijuana or methamphetamines or crack cocaine. That's normal for them. So they know what's normal. And in some families, people know by the time they're 6, 7 years old that if you see a policeman, some families, some people 6 or 7 are going to go see that policeman because they know that there's protection there. That's what they believe. Other people at 6 or 7 are going to hide because that's what they've been taught. You know, but they know in their familial system how that works. So we're going to really quickly here go over a couple of these things. I get to talking too much, and I get in a bind. Because I was going to quit a little early, but don't look like it. So I'm going to go over several things here and ask you if there are if they are rational or irrational beliefs. Everyone must approve of, like, or love me.
Irrational.
Why is that irrational? It's not going to happen. You are not that lovable. You're lovable, but you ain't that lovable. And look, I'm going to tell you what, if you ever met anybody that didn't like you, just don't know you, but don't like you, have you ever met anybody that you felt that way?
Yeah.
I've met people that just, okay, there's something about you. Maybe it's your body chemistry. I don't know, but you and I can't be friends.
I love you, but I don't have to like you.
Exactly. Number 2 is, look, I must be perfect.
Impossible task.
Say it again.
No, it's possible goal to get.
Well, it is. It is pretty much impossible, right? I suffer from the disease of perfectionism. And I had a person tell me a long time ago, well, your boss must be really happy about that. Don't understand perfectionism. That does not mean that you do things perfectly. That means that you really don't want anybody to know when you screw up. You'll hide things, you'll lie, you'll cheat, you'll steal, whatever it takes for people not to know you screwed something up. So no, it's not good. The way that I am countering that, the moment I screw something up, a boss lady got to know. I'm going to go tell them, look, I did that. That's helping me. So, it helped me. I had Miss Charnel came at the break time. I'm trying to have a break. I'm trying to get, and she comes up to tell me I screwed something up. There was a treatment plan review, and I have to sign off on all those treatment plan reviews, and she gonna let me know, hey, you ain't never signed off, and that was weeks and weeks and weeks ago, and you ain't never signed, because what does that do to a perfectionist? That'll make you just get into turmoil, but I've had to work on, it don't make a hill of beans different. I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna prove it here after this group and all of that kind of stuff, and if that ain't good enough, then I'm working on my perfectionism. I'm getting it whooped. All right, how about this? It's awful or horrible when things don't go my way. What do you think that is? Oh, that's Mr. Mark over there with his phone number during the group and not paying any attention to it. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, be home. Hey.
I'd say that would be irrational.
Yeah, because are things going to go your way all the time?
No.
And look, is it terrible when things don't go your way?
Not always.
You're right. It's not, because sometimes when it goes my way, it's not the right way to go, right? If it went my way, it'd be horrible, terrible, and nasty. But when it was happening, I always wanted to go my way. And it's always nasty. It feels nasty to me when it doesn't go my way, but I've got to get to the place where I understand it's not going to go my way. Number 5 is I cannot control my own emotions.
Irrational.
That is terribly irrational. It's really good for us to know that that's irrational, because I have so many people tell me, well, I can't control my own emotions. Well, you're the only one who can. So who do you think ought to be in charge of that? Who should be in charge of handling your emotions?
You or us.
You should be. You should be. But if you can't do it, somebody else will. We'll call the people with the badges and the guns, or the white coats, or something other. Somebody's going to control your emotions. But yes, you are the only one who can actually control your emotions. You can do that. If something is dangerous, I must worry about it.
Rational.
Might be.
Worry, but
Rational, pretty rational. Let me ask you something, Mark. Rattling snakes dangerous?
Yes.
depends on what kind of snakes.
Rattling snakes.
Oh, rattling. I thought you meant like rattling.
A rattling snake.
Yeah, rattlesnake is.
They are dangerous. Let me ask you another question. How many rattling snakes are there in here right now?
None.
Right. So I don't have to worry about rattling snakes.
Some are just in hibernation.
Say it again?
Some are just in hibernation.
Yeah, some of them are in hibernation. They're starting to go in hibernation. But no, if it's not right, look. If that I hear an ambulance going, I don't have to worry about what happened. I usually pray about the people who are involved, but I don't have to worry about it. So if something's horrible or terrible or nasty, I personally don't have to worry about it. I can be concerned about it, like all of the wars that are going on right now. I'm concerned about that. When they come on television and say we're trying to get it stopped, okay, do it. Let's stop it. Stop it if you can. But I'm not. I'm not worried about it. I'm a little concerned about it. People dying. I don't want people dying. So, we don't have to. Life should be without pain and require no effort.
Irrational.
That is way irrational because here's the deal: if your life doesn't requires no effort, then you're not going to be happy with what you're doing. You're not going to have that sense of accomplishment. And the government. I get up very early in the morning. I was watching the news this morning, and they were showing that a whole bunch of the checks that the government sends out may not make it. So there's a whole lot of people.
You talking about like a government check?
Yeah.
Work for the government?
No, I'm talking about people who don't work at all, looking for their check to show up.
Who you
They
talking
said
about?
they were still gonna be on time.
Say it again?
They said the morning they was gonna be on time. They was had shutdown.
Yeah.
Company had shutdown. They said they're gonna be on time.
Okay.
It's just gonna be a lot of further work to be free.
Yeah. Yeah. But what I was talking about is a lot of the Social Security checks, if you are on SSI instead of SSA. SSA is the check that you get because you've worked all your life and paid into it. SSI is because you don't want to work. And now if somebody has a real disability, let's give those people what they need. Okay, I'm all for that. But if you just, we got people in their 20s that are receiving those, and they're perfectly healthy. They go work.
They'll give them to you. You got ADD and ADHD
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. I can't forget the past.
Irrational.
Can you forget your past?
Forget it? Forget it or forgive it?
I can't forget the past.
Oh, that's kind of rational.
Yeah, because it's going to be Trump. It could have been a happy thing, or something that was tragic that you can't.
Yeah, in that instance, I can't forget some of the stuff. Look, we talked about tetrahydroquinone.
Told you.
Yeah, little girl, that was traumatic. That was traumatic when I was 12 years old. So, we do that tetrahydroquinone hides in our brain up there and keeps us from forgetting. So we're never going to forget some of that stuff. However, when we say I can't forget my past, we can't use our past to keep us in a bad place. I may not be able to forget it, but I can move past it. Right? That's the rational part. I should have the solutions to all of my problems. That is way irrational. Here's the deal. A lot of people think that winning the lottery would be a solution to all their problems.
More money, more problems.
Well, you think I got problems, don't you? That's like
Yeah.
a billion winner.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's what they say, Doc? More
Yeah.
money, more problems.
That's right. God knows what I can deal with. There's no way He's going to let me win the lottery. If I win the lottery, I'm going to go nuts. Thank you, sir.
God knows.
We should have the right solutions to all my problems. No, there's never, ever just one solution to all of our problems. And the last one is happiness means not having to do anything.
All right.
That really falls. I have a lot of fun with accomplishment. So when I go home today, I'm going to be looking at the things I got done today. So those accomplishments that I made. If I didn't have to do anything, I wouldn't have any accomplishments to look at. So this afternoon,